The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Once you become free of all your fears, life becomes limitless. Dear all, we are proceeding to the poem Freedom, written by the Bard of Bengal, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. Let's read the poem once. Freedom from fear is the freedom I claim for you, my motherland. Freedom from the burden of the ages, bending your head, breaking your back, blinding your eyes to the beckoning call of the future. Freedom from the shackles of slumber, wherewith you fasten yourself in night's stillness, mistrusting the star that speaks of truth's adventurous paths. Freedom from the anarchy of destiny. Whole sails are weakly yielded to the blind, uncertain winds, and the hem to a hand, ever rigid and cold as death. Freedom from the insult of dwelling in a puppet's world, where movements are started through brainless wires, repeated through mindless habits, where figures wait with patience and obedience for the master of the show to be stirred into a mimicry of life. For your convenience, I won't be dealing with the poem full in this video. We will deal with the first few lines today. Gurudev says, freedom from fear is the freedom I claim for you, my motherland. As I mentioned in the very beginning, fear is the only thing that we have to fear in life. It limits our possibilities. It hinders our progress. Fear becomes an obstacle on our path when we attempt to move forward. And if we fear something, it makes us inactive. It limits our potentials, our power, our capability. And life will become miserable for us. During the pre-independence era, Indians were afraid of many things. They were afraid of the foreign rulers, the British. They were scared of the power of the foreign rulers. They did not have the moral courage to stand up and claim freedom for their motherland, because they had the power of failure. They were experiencing the fear of failure. They were like afraid of persecution. All these things were holding India back from gaining her freedom. Gurudev, when he came back to India to join the freedom movement, saw an India which was bound by fears of many different types, many different kinds. And he sensed it right. Fear was something that was keeping India under slavery. That's why he was giving such a call to his country. Freedom from fear is the freedom I claim for you, my motherland. Freedom from fear, fear of all kinds, fear of power, fear of slavery, fear of failure, fear of persecution, fear that stops or holds India back from moving forward, fear due to the lack of moral courage, every kind of fear. Tagore was like he wanted freedom, and that too very fast, without much delay. He wanted India to be free at the earliest. So, when he says freedom from fear, that repetition of the f sound, it shows the urgency in his call for freedom. Freedom from fear is the freedom I claim for you, my motherland. Freedom from the burden of ages. Burden of ages here means the burden of the foreign rule, the burden of slavery. India has to liberate herself from the foreign rule. For ages, she has been suffering all the hardships caused by the foreign rule. From all those, she has to free herself. Then, the burden of ages, the burden caused by the slavery that has been bending her back. It has been blinding her eyes. It has been bending her head. She was standing in front of the world with her head bent. She has been insulted, humiliated, and her back has been broken, suffering the burden of ages. Her eyes were blind. Actually, India, after independence, can prove herself to be a prosperous land, a promising land. She has a bright future. But now, in the pre-independent times, India was in a state when or where she could not see any of such possibilities. She was blinded by slavery. So, from the burden of slavery, which is bending her head, which is humiliating her, which is insulting her, which is breaking her back, which is blinding her eyes from foreseeing a bright future, India has to set herself free. Gurudev continues, freedom from the shackles of slumber wherewith you fasten yourself in night's stillness. The period of slavery, the pre-independent times, the years under the foreign rule, it was a dark age for India. She was still. She was like a stagnant pool. A country which could be a running stream was remaining a stagnant pool because she was under the clutches of fear. She was in shackles of bondage. when if she liberates herself, frees herself from those chains of bondage, chains of slavery, she could soar higher and higher. She was in a state of lethargy. India was forgetting herself, her power, her potential. A country which could raise herself to the status of being a model worthy of emulation for other nations was keeping herself in a state of slumber. When we go through the novel Mayazhipuzhayude Theerangalil written by M. Mukundan, I don't know if you have read it. I suggest you to read it. You will find the days of French rule in Mayadi, in a place called Mayadi. There, people were like accepting the foreign rule. They actually started loving it. And when a few educated people started claiming freedom from the foreign rule, most of the representatives of the elder generation couldn't digest it. The very thought of driving away the foreigners from their land was something they couldn't just bear. We see many characters when the last French ship was leaving their shore. Some of the natives, the elder people, were there in that ship accompanying the French, ready to go to whichever place the French go. That gives us a clear picture of how India accepted the burden, accepted it as her fate, something which she cannot just change. That was India before independence. What I referred to just now was not just the case of Mayadi or Mahi. In many of the Indian provinces, same was the condition. People were in an inactive state. They just got accustomed to the life under foreign rule. They were not, or they could not dream about something better. So this is the condition which Gurudev refers to in the poem. India has been under the shackles of slumber, in lethargy, and the night's stillness was something that she enjoyed. She confined herself in that night's stillness. She fastened herself in that inactive state, passive state, submissive state to fate. From such a condition, Tagore is here making a call to India. He is actually holding a mirror to Indians. See, this is the condition of the present India. This is the state in which our motherland is. A pathetic state, a deplorable plight. From this, we have to free ourselves. For that, you must free yourself from fear. And if you just prove your fears are baseless, if you become fearless, life becomes limitless. We will continue in the next session.